Let us begin today's Daily Preach. I'm kind of getting tired of this intro. I might have to change it. Hello, ballers! Double bro fist. Oh yeah, welcome to the Daily Preach, the only daily that matters, and that's now actually official on YouTube. It's only a registered show, legitimately, an actual show on YouTube. It has its own subscriber base. Oh, pretty creepy. Pretty creepy to see this entirely independent page called the Daily Preach. Take that, religion. I have scored one for the home team and have my own show called the Daily Preach. It is now claimed. Nobody from any walk of life can now claim the Daily Preach as their own legitimate show because it is mine. And therefore it shall continue into the future, I guess. Yeah, the future. So it's all on there. We're going to split it into seasons and stuff. You'll notice now on YouTube it has all sorts of blue highlights. Nothing's changing. Nothing's changing, but it has its own show and its own page and that kind of stuff, which is pretty cool. This is pretty damn snazzy, pretty damn cool. What a glorious day. Yesterday, out of interest to my own 5-man failures, I should apologise as well for screwing up the Mistweaver video, as nicely so many of you pointed out. I like the way you still gave it thumbs up, although it had a punching monk over the first 5 minutes of it. I very much appreciate the guys like, it's still good, it's still good, I can rescue this, I can deal with a big punching monk over all the visuals, it's fine, it's no problem. But I did appreciate the emails, which I did not get because we were busy last night until I thought, I'll go to bed now. Ghosty left us. He went home, and I went upstairs to check everything was cool, like I do just before bed. I just have a quick overview, make sure everything is fine, and it was not fine. Proceed to be awake for the next 3 hours, fixing it and re-uploading everything. Oh, what fun that was, what fun. I did get to watch some Stargate though. What can I say? I'm a total nerd. I'm a total nerd. I'm like, oh no, I can't go to bed yet. I'll watch some Stargate. That is my solution to everything. I can't play the PC because it's totally tied up. I'll watch some Stargate. And I was desperate to play my DK as well. I need an ultimate PC, accepting donations now, for the ultimate PC that will stream, render, and do everything I wanted to do all at once. That's what I want. That is my dream. I would truly love that to happen. So go ahead, send me some money. Where are we? Okay, today we're going to talk about some stories, but let me tell you about last night, because last night was truly epic. Me and Ghost, for the first time, possibly, I'm really going to fuck this story up, because this actually happened for the first time in probably a year, the other night. It's very rarely me and Ghosty get together, and at some point during that period, we're not on computers together. Especially since we had the second PC here. We had the classic bromance of both sharing one PC, flicking through videos, one person playing, then swapping, and doing various things like that. Then we got the second rig to get Ghosty set up, and then we just generally played together on alternate sides of the room, which is pretty awesome. But last night we were in brainstorm mode. Yes, we were. Emma was not feeling well. She commandeered the upstairs of the place, and we sat downstairs with a pen and paper, and we started to bash out The Way of the Warrior 2 in its finer details, the finer details of a story. And the glorious thing about it is Ghosty got really excited. And he's like, you know what we should do? We should do this. You know what else we could do? We could do this. We could do this. And then the text messages started today as well, which is awesome. I've been thinking about it overnight, and I'm like, ha! That's what happens to me. That's exactly what happens to me, is I start thinking about something, and that's it, I can't sleep. I start thinking about shit all the time. He's like, oh, I've been thinking about this, we could do this and this. And Ghosty's thinking like 4 seasons down the line. Very cool. So we have a lot of stuff to do for The Way of the Warrior 2, but it's going to be pretty cool. I've started sending emails out. I haven't finished, so don't worry if you haven't got one. For people who want to be a voice actor. We're also working on costumes and things for people, mostly going to be aimed at anybody who wants to be available. To take part and have certain characters, your players. Obviously, we need accounts. What I can't do is run 50 accounts from here and individually move everybody. So we're going to be offering spots to be in The Way of the Warrior 2, which is going to be something like a movie, with you guys taking part, getting costumes and stuff. I paid for certain people to get, or I'm going to pay, I should say, to get race changes and things like that. That's not open to everyone, by the way. So they can be correct and legit for the Way of the Warrior 2, so they can have a role for those people who've got a central story arc and all that kind of stuff. And we're currently working on our villain. Hardest thing in the world is developing a villain. And why is he a villain? And all that kind of stuff. You know, what should he be? What should we do? How could we work this? And we spent so long sort of bashing it out. Maybe he did this. Maybe that's why. Maybe he's that doesn't quite work. Well, what about this? What about this and that? So we're working on that, and we finally arrived on something we were both happy with, which is pretty cool. So I'm dying to film it now. I'm kind of worried about what I can do for content on the channel while I'm filming it in December. This is going to be a fucking real pain in the ass for me. Is to get regular content out for you guys that's still entertaining while working as much as possible on the Way of the Warrior 2. I will say I've been working my ass off today. Mistweaver and Brewmaster videos are done. They will be released over the next 2 days. And during that time, I should be streaming PvP. As entertaining as it is to watch me gear up in Battlegrounds. But of course, bring as many of you guys along as possible. We're going to be doing that probably tomorrow afternoon, English time, and Friday. I would like to say on Friday. And of course, on Friday, it is filmed. The World of Logs Part 2 video comes out on Friday. That is going to be a big Friday video. Is World of Logs Part 2. Which is pretty cool. And on top of that, of course, web show on Saturday. So it's a very, very stupidly busy weekend at Preach Gaming. I quite look forward to Sunday, where I will just be not turning my PC on whatsoever. Because on Saturday, it's just going to be all hands on deck to get everything done. We've got so much to do, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I will be streaming. Okay, I'm not lying. I will be streaming. Maybe tomorrow afternoon. I'm not promising that, but Friday, definitely. All the videos should be done by Friday. Let's talk about some gaming news, because we've been lackluster on gaming news recently, which really sucks. I'm not a big fan of not promoting, but talking about the latest indie app game that's just come out, or the latest developer who's asking for money on Kickstarter and things like that. There's just millions of them. We're moving away from the major big titles, which is really sad, man. It's really sad. I like my big titles. I just wish they weren't all the fucking same. Black Ops 2 is out. Yay. It's the same as all the other ones. I like big AAA titles. The problem is not the fact that nobody's buying them. They're all the fucking same. People are bored to death. Let's get some new ones. So straight off the bat, the GTA 5 trailer is out. Of course, it's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm hoping for a lot of co-op stuff going on in GTA 5. GTA 4's multiplayer was actually really cool. It was Ghosty who introduced me to GTA 4's multiplayer, and he did some tremendous things, you know, travelling out to a gang of lads who were on a boat and travelling over there in a Black Hawk and shooting the fuck out of them from the Black Hawk and all this kind of stuff, and rockets whizzing through the air. There's a lot of potential for a city-based multiplayer game. There was an MMO, I'm going to get the name wrong, it's either Cops and something else, or Armed and Dangerous, something along those lines, where your faction choices were either the police or they were criminals. And you played in that. The problem was the MMO was fucking diabolical. It was really badly implemented, which makes me really sad, because it just... APB. So some of you have played APB, I assume. APB should have been a stellar title. It should have been absolutely fucking well worth everybody's time, because it was fantastic. I personally was well up for being the police in APB. And when I first joined TGN, I was put to support the TGN MMO channel, which was a brand new channel that was set up. Me being one of the guys with the most subscribers, which was 1,000 at the time. I think I had 1,000 subscribers, and they were like, this dude has 1,000 subscribers, which is pretty big in terms of YouTube, to be honest. And they were like, right, we'll put him on TGN MMO, not TGN World of Warcraft, and he can prop up that channel and start bringing subs over to there. So I started releasing WoW content on TGN MMO. We then got a message from up above, from Team Canada, who runs TGN, saying you can't just do WoW content on TGN MMO, because we have a TGN World of Warcraft channel. So you need to play other MMOs. And I was like, I don't want to play any other MMOs. They fucking suck. I don't want to do that. So I got this I got this message from the channel manager at the time, and he was like, you need to play another MMO. I'm like, I'm not playing another MMO. I'm really not. I don't have the fucking time. And they were all playing APB. So I did install it, and I got Ghost to install it as well and give it a try. It was just very badly implemented. But that game should be awesome. It should be fantastic. A Grand Theft Auto MMO, I would be seriously up for playing that. especially if you could become sort of the Don. I would love to do that. I think that'd be fantastic. But they're saying Grand Theft Auto 5 is enormous, huge, should be good. It's going to be a good trailer, but I never really trust trailers anymore. Do you guys trust trailers? Near enough every film I've seen has a really good trailer. The films generally suck. I watched Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter recently, which had a cool idea behind it. I can get past the idea that it's Abraham Lincoln being a vampire hunter. I can get over that. I can accept that as the premise of the story and take it from there. But what a terrible fucking movie. The trailer was really good though, which is kind of sad. I also want to know if any of you have seen the new Silent Hill. If I'm to convince Emma to go and watch a movie based on a game, it needs to be pretty good. So if you've seen it, I want to know if it's pretty cool. That's all I want to know. Other news is... It's just so much news today. Guild Wars 2 is introducing its first stage towards going back in its own word, for those of you still playing Guild Wars 2, that gear progression is now going to be a thing. The idea of Guild Wars 2 was essentially you begin the game with all the end game stuff. There's nothing waiting for you at level 80. Try and convince a lot of people of that. Especially coming from the normal MMO market who rush to level 80 and are like, well, there's not that much going on. That's right, because the end game exists all the way through it. And if you want to go and do it, you have to be downscaled. So it's appropriate content for you. One of the issues that seems to be occurring in Guild Wars 2 is people don't want to do the downscaled content because their epic luxury gear doesn't really have any difference whatsoever, because they're just downscaled to the appropriate level when they get there, and their gear is downscaled as well. So they don't get the huge, shiny, epic feel of their character when they do this older content, and now they've rushed through the game. They want endgame. Guild Wars 2's ArenaNet is trying to stick to its guns a little bit and not really doing the endgame thing, but they have now announced they're going to do sort of like an Ice Crown Citadel debuff. I forget the name of the debuff, where tanks just took flat out more damage. I think it was a 25% dodge reduction, if I remember right. Same thing was in the Sunwell. Sunwell Radiance is what it used to be called, where you will now need better gear. You're going to have to get this certain type of gear to cope with this debuff in order to counteract it and be able to complete the content. So it's a gear check more than anything. They've put a gear check in, which is kind of counterintuitive to the way the game is designed, but they need people to push forward into newer content. They're going to eventually get stuck into having an endgame, because MMOs need an endgame. You can't just have people reach level 80 and just having to go backwards. That's just not the way. Although the game is well designed that way, I think it's actually a superb idea. It's counterintuitive to players, what players want. Most players want to get to level 80 and be super powerful, or get to the level cap and become even more powerful, not downgrade themselves in such a fashion. In other MMO news, Storm Legion's out for Rift. Who's still playing Rift? Anybody? They're kind of hoping Storm Legion picks up the pace a little bit. All I can tell you on this is we saw Storm Legion at Gamescom. And it was the most ridiculous. I think it's in one of the Gamescom videos. If you've never seen the videos of me and Ghosty and Steph and Emma going to Gamescom, then you'll have noticed that we got to the Rift booth and mocked it completely, because they had a huge booth. They had this enormous booth, and only 2 of the consoles within that booth were actually playing Rift, Storm Legion, the brand new expansion that was supposed to pick it up. And the rest of it was dedicated to another game. They really didn't seem to have much confidence whatsoever in the Storm Legion expansion. So this looks like they're going to put Storm Legion out. If it doesn't work, expect Rift to be gone pretty soon. This is the kind of last hurrah, I would say, for Rift, and then move away from it, unfortunately. I get told a lot about Rift, that it's a good game. A good game, and we spoke about this in the past, that it needs to be more than just a good game to make most of us leave World of Warcraft. It needs to be more than just, yeah, it's kind of better. It needs to be more than that. It really does. It needs to be really fucking good to make people pass up potentially nearly a decade's worth of play. Even people who've invested a couple of years into World of Warcraft will feel very, very bad about leaving all their characters behind for a game that is, yeah, it's kind of better. It's just not enough. It's really not enough. I kind of feel, this is kind of something I want to leave with you on the YouTube comments for tomorrow, is I kind of feel like the MMO market is really stunted right now. Like, there's nothing upcoming that is grabbing me by the testicles and saying this is what the next stage is. What is the next stage of MMO play? Since World of Warcraft, and World of Warcraft has undergone many revisions, of course, over the years, has there been an MMO that's really taking it to the next level? I'm not even saying World of Warcraft did. World of Warcraft just happened to be the winner out of all of them, such as League of Legends and Heroes of New Earth. League of Legends just happened to win. There was other games that were pretty similar to World of Warcraft at the time, but World of Warcraft's aesthetic appeal, simplified gameplay for sure, especially starting in vanilla, and the graphical quality, which was really high for the time. It was really, really beautifully stunning game, and still is today. I attest to anybody who moans about the graphics, like Emma openly says the graphics of World of Warcraft are terrible compared to Guild Wars 2. I can see that in terms of certain detail, but I love the feeling of World of Warcraft. I think it looks very fantasy. I think it has a really good atmosphere in most of the zones. I think there's a lot of attention to detail that really goes unnoticed sometimes to give you the proper sense of atmosphere. It's all very well and good saying that individual texture packs are really, really important, such as look at the detail on his armor, the fine armor. I'm not that bothered about that. Most of the time I play so zoomed out, I'm actually taking in the scenery and I'm not going looking at the texture detail on the wall like some weirdo. I just love the whole feel of it. The whole grandeur of entering, say, Blackrock Mountain or something along those lines, or the White Temple. I absolutely adore that. I think it's really, really cool. I'd actually say Mr. Pandaria is much higher graphically. I think it lacks some grandeur compared to previous zones. I really do think it lacks that place that stands out for me. If we compare it to something like Ice Crown, Ice Crown's aesthetic appeal is just extraordinary. Of course, it's a Lord of the Rings rip-off. We're not stupid, but it doesn't matter. Ice Crown for me was just wow. Ice Crown just stood out so much for me, and the same for Dragonblight. To be in the entire zone and always see the Dragon Temple really stood out for me as something pretty spectacular. I thought it was pretty amazing. I really, really did. And Cataclysm itself with the World Tree, the Sulfuron Spire, things like that really stood out for me. Whereas Mr. Pandaria is, of course, within its theme of having the temples and this sort of Asian themed stuff, but nothing extravagant. It's a fantasy game. I'd love to see something that was just, you know, it just stood out so far above everything else that this is what World of Warcraft is about. As much as it's beautiful, Mr. Pandaria is definitely beautiful. I would love to have seen something with a little bit more grandeur. So, Storm Legion is out. If you're still playing Rift, it might be worth a look. They're trying really hard to get you guys back, as all the other MMOs are. I mean, Star Wars The Republic goes free to play. Is it now? Was it 2 days ago? Or is it next month? Something like that. It goes free to play. They're trying desperately to get people back. Trying desperately. And hopefully, I'd like to see some competition, whilst lacking competition, which I don't really like. And the final bit of news is Origin. If you have an Origin EA account, most of them have been hacked. Yeah, most of them have been hacked. Change your password. Even if you haven't been hacked, change your password anyway. A lot of them have been hacked over the last few days. Most of us have an EA account, especially if you tried Star Wars The Old Republic, you will have an Origin account. Change it. Just change your password. Safety first. Always safety first. And that's your gaming news for today. That's your gaming news so far. That's it. So let's move on to some stories. Yeah, fuck EA. Fuck EA, I like that. Okay, so yesterday I asked you guys to send me in some stories of 5-mans. There is some WoW news I could cover today, but I'm going to save that for tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow's discussion is about gear, the importance of gear, and many factors involving gear, from incentives to how useful they are in raids. Get your questions and answers ready for that kind of stuff. I want for and against. Don't just agree with me. I want a discussion. I want a discussion. Discussion is cool. So yesterday I had a horrific 5-man. Luckily today I didn't, but I was tanking today. Very hard for me to have a bad day on my tank. It's very, very difficult. Usually, especially on my DK, tanking on my DK. I did 2 dungeons, I think, in a round. I want to say I did Stormstout Brewery and Jade Serpent in around 20 minutes combined. I could just demolish those entire dungeons on my DK. Like, absolutely no problem at all. I don't need other people. I think our healer left on the last boss in Stormstout Brewery. As soon as we entered the room, I'd already pulled. It didn't matter. I was just dealt with it anyway. There was no issue at all. So I asked you guys to send me in some stories of your bad 5-mans. I got quite a lot of submissions, actually. A lot of submissions. You guys do like writing. But I tried to pick some stories that took individual things into account I think you guys can relate to, which is pretty cool. So this is what I got. This one was from Denmark. I always have an itchy nose after I have a bath. It's really annoying. I heard you wanted some stories about the worst experiences, so here's mine. Now, some of these aren't that bad. I think some of you guys are drama llamas. If Friday's anything to go about, I absolutely know you're drama llamas. But some of these stories just aren't that bad. So I've had much worse. Yesterday, in fact. It was this very afternoon. What a coincidence that your worst dungeon happens to be on the day I asked for a word dungeon. The worst dungeon. I see what you tried to do there. I was starting to gear up my monk. My monk as a Mistweaver. As I've got full 463 plus gear as a tank, which is my main spec, I queue for the specific dungeon, Temple of Nizao, I believe is what it's called, because I needed the trinket from the third boss. I wait for 5 minutes. Then the Enter Dungeon box appears. I press Enter Dungeon and the tank declines the invitation. We've all been there. We wait for it. Excuse me. Oi. Out. One moment. It's no good going all floppy. Out. Thank you. Damn dog. You can come in, but then you choose wood. We've all had this, haven't we? It happened to me today, actually. I logged my priest quickly because I thought I would heal a dungeon. Go away. And the tank kept declining. And they get instant queues. And what the fuck is that? What is that, some sort of game? I don't understand. Is it some sort of trolling? I'm not quite sure what the idea is of tanks who must obviously queue instantly and then decline the invitation. There's something going on there, isn't there? There's some mindset that's really childish about doing that. I don't understand it. I don't get it. It's just really frustrating. In fact, I did read a topic once on the WoW forums where a guy believed that by doing this, he was speeding up the queues for other people. So he used to do it a lot. He used to just continuously spam join queue and then leave quickly. He said he was getting people through the system quickly. Or he believed that's what he was doing until someone pointed out that that's complete nonsense, because obviously they just go back into the queue and have to wait for the next tank. Absolutely insane mindset of some people who can't think through the next 3 or 4 seconds. I found it really strange. 10 seconds after that, the box shows up again. Once again, the tank declines. This process repeats for about 7 minutes. Finally, the tank chooses to accept. I get in the dungeon, and what a mess it was. The hunter is in Grizzly Hills? Why would a hunter be in Grizzly Hills? Hunting rares, maybe? Hunting rares. Not responding. The mage is offline. The rep paladin is AFK. The tank, a druid who just joined the group with me, has 315,000 health in bear. And mostly healing gear. And only a few tank pieces. I couldn't kick any of the DPS, as you need at least 3 out of 5 to say yes and only mean the tank were doing anything. They had wipes on the first boss, it seemed, which was quite impressive. So what's happened here is a common situation which can happen is both the tank and healer leave. This really fucks up the DPS because they really have to wait a long time to restore this, don't they? To fix that. Waiting for a tank on its own isn't too bad. Waiting for a healer on its own, if your tank's there, is usually instant. Waiting for them both? Ah, that's fucking terrible. That is really bad. I'm swearing. I'm sorry, Jason. I'm really sorry. So with 3 DPS not responding, me and the tank engage the first boss. This is a risky moment. This is a risky moment that I have seen and happened to me a lot of times. Are you capable of 2-manning this boss? I'm kind of the opinion that in most things, yeah. If my healer is okay, I'm okay. But we're now talking about a tank who's in healing gear. That changes things a little bit. I don't care if 1 DPS is AFK offline. I'm still pulling. All the time. I'm not waiting for 1 DPS. It's completely unnecessary. It's absolutely unnecessary. I don't care how bad the other 2 DPS are. If there's one person offline, AFK in a 5-man, or just generally just fucking me around, I'm not waiting for him. You guys shouldn't wait for them either. It's absolutely such a waste of time. Just keep going. You'll be fine. Believe me. You'll be absolutely fine. So the decision is made. Healer and tank are going to start 2-manning the dungeon. Oh, this is bad. Me and the tank engage the first boss, killing it after 10 to 15 minutes. With the DPS still not responding, we proceed, clearing the trash on the way to the second boss. After about 5 minutes, we engage the second boss. Halfway through the encounter, I'm out of mana, as the tank is taking shitloads of damage from everything. The tank eventually dies because I'm not capable of keeping him up, as my spirit is quite low in my early gear. Don't make excuses! You sucked! You sucked. You're a monk, man. Play like a monk. You can deal with anything. You're a Mistweaver monk. You can cope. You'll be fine. Absolutely fine. God, you suck. Suck! Suck! I see at least 15 mobs running towards me and I leave, as the DPS haven't come back and the tank sucked balls. This is the worst dungeon experience I've had in a very long time. There's a whole fucking pile of fail going on there, isn't there? Firstly, you just like, I don't want to... This is one of those situations where I don't want to leave the group. I've queued. I've waited 7 minutes with tanks accepting and declining. Now I'm in. I don't want to leave because I will get punished. I am the person who will be punished. I don't want to leave. The DPS can't have gone that far away from their PCs. It's just not possible. And you're like, come on, I want to leave. And then it's the whole multitude of things going on here. Is one, you're now in a situation where you can't kick people. You cannot kick people. You need the extra votes. They're not there. You can't kick people. You've got a tank that you would like to kick because this guy's clearly taking the piss. He could probably do it. If he's a good player, he can cope. He can really cope with tanking getting healing gear. I've done it. I've done it for the lols and for videos and shit like that. And it's just... It's a tricky situation. And I've been a healer and said, it's fine, let's go. I've healed hunter pets, I've healed warlock pets while tanks have been sucking balls or offline or AFK. All that kind of shit, I've done it and it's fine, it works. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you've got a combination of really bad events happening at the same time, that is just a bad day. It's such a bad day. You don't wish that day on anybody whatsoever. Ash wrote in, he said, there's a story from a while back when I was a casual gamer. I did a dungeon finder and was put in the Halls of Lightning. Who remembers Halls of Lightning? Who could not pull that first boss? Loken? Is he called Loken, I think? Oh no, the Loken's the last boss. Is he called Thor? He's some sort of Thor thing. He patrolled around with lightning shooting out of his asshole. If you knew, this is how much of a nerd I am about tanking, right? You could pull the first hallway, the first downstairs platform, and these had the mobs that shot arrows. They're not called Valkyrie, you know what I mean. And they shot arrows that knock you back. You could, as a prop warrior, you could pull the whole first corridor, you could pull the bottom section, and you could pull the pathway leading to the section on the right, and line of sight it to form one huge death ball, just in enough time so that the boss came round the corner and arrived at you just as the mobs died, if you were in a guild group. It was so tight, but it was possible, and you could have the first boss down in about 45 seconds. If you could do it, if you could master the process of doing it. That's how fucking nerdy I was in. General Bajan Grim. Jan Gram, something. Yeah, I timed it to the second. I hate waiting. I spent so much of my I'm total nerd, but I spent so much time working out whether going left or right was the fastest path to get to the next room. Generally. And the most annoying part about Halls of Lightning is if you did it in a pug, people not going through the room with the respawning rock elementals at the same time. And how many of you remember the melee DPS who just, for whatever reason, no matter how long that expansion was out, did not know that when you kill those elementals, they explode. I cannot believe how many times I saw people just fucking blow themselves up on that staircase. All the time. They'd be like, oh, holy blast! Boom! Fucking kaboom all over the place. And me as a tank would be like, right, I've got them all together. They're nearly dead. Shockwave, move 6 yards to the right. And I would stand there while the DPS were going, ah, kaboom, nuclear fucking explosion going on all over the place. I hate Halls of Lightning. My God, that's fucking terrible. Oh, I hate it. The group got stuck on the first boss, which is it's not easy actually. Oh, he was, yeah, he was far more difficult than a Mr. Pandaria boss. Let's put it that way. This boss was not the best of things to do, as we had 1 hour of wiping on that boss. An hour? I'm out. I'll give it 20 minutes, but if you can't kill the boss in 20 minutes, I'm done, man. I'm fucking out of there. The tank wasn't very good with aggro and was blaming it on the DPS. We just managed to do that boss. We did manage to do that boss and the next bosses. We did okay-ish. When we got to Loken, oh, that was a fail. It was a fail. The tank we had left, and we got a feral druid. I mean a Moonkin. He said that. So I assume this chap was Moonkin geared. A lot of druids rolling around in caster gear these days, it would appear. This was not fun. I asked him to change spec, and he said, no. He said, no. Please don't tank like that. I'm tanking like this. Fuck you. The Loken AoE? Yeah, Loken AoE was so much more difficult than any mechanics currently in the game. Are you right? Am I right? Am I right? Too soon for Mr. Pandaria to accept that Halls of Lightning was more difficult? Halls of Lightning, Wrath of the Lich King, the easiest instance ever, is more difficult than your Mr. Pandaria 5-mans. Just putting that out there. Just going to put that out there. It was probably more difficult on normal mode. It was probably more difficult on normal mode, I want to say. I think so. It was pretty easy though when you could all stack and just zerg it down, which was later in the day. I gotta say, one of the most disappointing days of my life was when I saw Sartharian 3 Drakes get zerged. Because that's sad. That was really sad. Let's do a mount run where we literally just blow the fucking guy up and we win. That's terrible. He should never have been allowed to do that. But they allowed it. Whatever. Whatever, Blizz. Okay, on to our third story. Which one did I pick? Okay. This one was titled, The Worst 5-Man, quite literally the dumbest person, let alone the dumbest player. ... Like those classic emails we have discussed. ... is the sigh. This isn't a drama llama story. It's just a good story of fail, the tank. You guys aren't helping your tanks enough, right? I'm fucking serious. I'm dead serious right now. I'm not joking. If you have a bad tank, help him. Help him out. Most of you have stuff that helps the tank. Even a really bad tank can be helped out in some fashion. It really can be. As a Shadow Priest with a love for healing and a hatred of long queues, I'm with you, buddy. I thoroughly enjoy healing in a PvE environment. However, with such responsibility comes lots of pain. It doesn't. Responsibility of healing a 5-man is just associated with pain and misery and nightmarish situations. I'll tell you what's happening recently. Are you guys with me on this? Strife and Peril in Temple of the Jade Serpent. How many hero melee are just totally attacking a different target because they believe they will get increased DPS because they have longer to DPS it? That's why they're doing it. I totally clocked onto this. I really do. It's happening all the time. I see the tank stood next to one of Strife or Peril or whatever, and the melee just goes to the other side and starts DPSing it. It's so annoying. So fucking annoying. As when players don't know how to complete various easy tasks, such as avoiding blatantly harmful attacks, healers tend to get unjustly blamed. Right there with you. I queued for a random dungeon. Heal FFS! As we discussed yesterday. I queued for a random dungeon, was promptly greeted with a much frustrating Shadowpan Monastery group. Which one is Shadowpan Monastery? Someone remind me of which of the last boss is Shadowpan Monastery. I'm not really... Shadowpan Monastery. Is that the one where you fight all the ninjas in the room? Is that the one? Is that Shadowpan Monastery? Has it got the guy at the end with the gripping balls of death? The master with the one... Yeah, press buttons in. Yeah, I thought so. Okay. I know what I'm doing. Oh, he actually describes it. The dungeon is annoying for various reasons, namely those death gripping orbs, people who don't know how to click that floating corpse that lets everything die. You guys know, because you're ballers, right? You're aware that you should do this shit. I've taught you over many years to look for the stuff that other people blatantly will not do. If it's interrupting or clicking the floating corpse, which allows mobs to die, people will AoE the shit out of that trash for hours until they're out of mana. They will just keep going. I've seen it going. But in my opinion, the Ring of Shadow Bolts are the last boss, and the mobs before him like to attack you with... However, the run became disgusting before even reaching the first boss. This dungeon, before I continue with this story, is also notorious on my list as the instance with the most annoyingly skippable trash that I pray to God people don't skip. Because it's just shit. If one person gets it wrong, it's a wipe. I absolutely detest trash skippers when it takes 3 seconds, and if somebody ninja pulls that trash, it's probably a wipe. People will do almost anything these days to skip a pack of trash. If you're in one of my dungeons, I'm fucking pulling it. It is really not worth my time to deal with the crap that comes with some idiot pulling it. I say idiot, sometimes that's the wrong word. Sometimes this trash is barely skippable. And you usually have to do something really stupid. I believe in Shadowpan Monastery, to skip the trash, you have to ignore a bridge, dive into the water, swim across a river, mount up, and then sneak through a sideways gap to skip 2 packs, I believe it is. 2 packs or something. Mother of God. Mother of God. I hate that stuff. Trash skippers like that really drive me mad. Our tank, who is the culprit of this story, proceeded to pull the mobs in the very first room. So this is the mobs that double themselves. If you're not familiar with this instance, the mobs, you pull them and they double themselves. We down them with no problem, as you should do. We then pull the mobs right by the big double doors, which are the ones right before the first boss. We easily dispatch of those overexcited ninja pandas and proceed to wait by the entrance to the boss area. So if you're with me, you've gone in, you killed the first trash, you've gone left, you killed that trash. Cool. After a few moments of waiting, me and 2 of the DPSs start to realise something is wrong. Our tank and 1 DPS was missing, and their health, rage and mana was moving around. There's nothing worse as a healer when you're like, what? Somebody's out of range and his health is going down. The fuck? When I read this, I knew exactly where they were. Who could they be in combat with? Where could they have gone? I realised that the tank had gone back into the room we just left, runs all the way back to the entrance and pulls the mobs that are up the 3 or 4 stairs completely out of the way of any path of the first boss. It is impossible to even accidentally pull those mobs, even with a stray hunter arrow whose auto attack sometimes activates when just hitting the mobs to switch targets. I agree. It is impossible to pull those mobs. However, there is a defense that's probably not applicable here. Is on the beta, if this is a stretch, I know this is a stretch, but on the beta, that trash did aggro and it would stay in combat and it wouldn't follow you, and you would stay in combat and you would be able to drink from that point on. Like, there's still that kind of bug. I think it still exists at the end of the instance, but it actually happened right at the beginning on beta and you had to pull that trash. It was very, very annoying that you had to do that all the time. Okay. Did this tank really get so confused that he turned 180 degrees and walked back through the room we just came through? No way. I give him the benefit of the doubt, as most of us do. Some shit happened. Pulled it and the tank went to rescue him. That's often why I end up in those situations. I spot a DPS taking damage and the first guy to run the fuck back and try and sort it out. I'd rather just kill the trash than have somebody running around with mobs chasing them, because... Okay, a lot of references coming up from my own experiences recently, but while filming the Monk videos yesterday, yeah, the yesterday Mistweaver video, I did a Scarlet Monastery, no, the other one, the Scarlet Halls, a Scarlet Halls run, where like 3 of the DPS got caught in Blades of Light. No, it was before then. It was that area. The tank did something and he died, and he was nowhere near me. He'd gone off somewhere and he died. And that just led to mobs running everywhere. So I ran in to try and heal the DPS. I got all the aggro and died. And then the DPS died. I think I just joined the group. I think I joined the group while they were wiping. I think the healer had left, causing them to wipe. That sounds familiar. But the mage refused to die and ran through the whole fucking instance while we were all dead to save his 10 silver or 2 gold repair bill. He even sat in ice block because he couldn't outrun them all through the full duration of ice block, and then carried on trying to blink to the door. Man, I hate that. I hate that so much. Anyway, since the tank and the 1 DPS had ventured off on their own without me and the other 2 DPS, the DPS that had followed him perished due to their negligent situational awareness. Very nicely put. Negligent situational awareness. So me and the other 2 DPS run over to help clear the mobs. They pulled for some reason. Remember, at this point, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, not really thinking that they got lost, and clean up the error. After the mobs are dead, people are drinking mana juice. Really? Mana juice? You go from negligent situational awareness to mana juice? Something's wrong there. I think 2 of you wrote this. And I proceed to res the down DPS. To my dismay, I see the tank's health pool start to fluctuate again, and we run over to see what's going on, buffing each other and healing the previously down DPS's health along the way. My stomach dropped as we were greeted with two big, huge and closed double doors. This pro had run off while we were recuperating from his tragic pull and pulled the boss. What a gangster. Nothing is stopping this juggernaut of a tank, man. He is going for it. He doesn't give a god. The people are dead. I don't give a fuck. I'm fucking going for it. I'm out of here. I'm in there. Absolutely hero. The tank swiftly and obviously died. And then he has the audacity to open his chat box and enter the over the caps locked idiots. My jaw dropped. Could someone really be this clueless? This unaware of a single thing that is happening around them? I told him, dude, you realise I was rezzing the DPS and got killed and oomed clearing up the mess you had made in the previous room. And the others were manning up, right? He, or it rather, curses me out in the most broken kind of grammar I've ever witnessed. But not in a foreign way, that wouldn't be an issue. But in a clearly uneducated way. It was something along the lines of F-U-K-U, F-U-K-N-U-B-E, Hila. Hiller, bad Hiller. Very bad Hiller. Great, so we have a savage with the intellect of a tomato. Very rude, an intellect of a tomato. After 30 seconds of arguing, I just ignored him. No point in arguing with someone who is that dumb. You can't win versus people like that because anything you say is disregarded anyway. So on we go, managing to keep the guy alive through everything he stands in or gets hit by unnecessarily, straining the crap out of my mana. Meantime, we get to the area with the bridges. I knew this was coming. I knew it. And all those mini shard that explode. Oh man, the exploding shards. That is the new Halls of Lightning Stairway. Melee will never understand that those things explode. Are they called exploding shard? Something like that. We explode! We explode! It's in the name. People are just like, I don't care. Healer's problem. Let's continue to rock and roll. Healer's issue. Nothing to do with me. The guy got hit by everything, as would everyone else. I had to quickly try and drink after every pull. As annoying as it was, I got the job done. I don't remember if anyone died, but if they did, it would just add to the complete catch-up I was playing to try and keep these guys alive from everyone killed. So we move along across one of the bridges, kill another pack, and this guy runs back across the bridge and pulls another mob from where we came. This time, no one went to help him, and I just let him die. Good on you, buddy! Good on you! Good on you. I couldn't believe it. He did it again. How confused can you be? This is like I walked down the street, stopped to light a cigarette, and walked back up the same street. I didn't even recall how the hell we got through this Master Snowdrift, or whatever his name is, fight. Because those Chun-Li type fists he does are almost impossible to heal through. At the time I was undergeared, but still. I made swift use of life grip and anything else I could to try and mitigate the damage. After the fight, we feverishly spam healing through it. The fact that he had the tendency to run around in circles during pulls definitely came in handy here. As we all know, always face the mobs away from the group for various reasons. Otherwise, I don't know how we would have gotten through that. Maybe I did heal through it, I really don't remember. All I could remember was how blown away I was by the blatant and unparalleled stupidity of this person, literally walking one way and then backtracking without any pause. At this point, you can be wondering why we didn't kick him. Kind of. I'm kind of wondering why you didn't kick this guy. Well, I don't know why, but sometimes it says this player cannot be kicked for another X amount of minutes. Yes, it does. And in this case, it was 40 minutes. Of course, none of the other less intelligent, but definitely not near the status of our dearest, even consider the fact that they could try kicking. Finally, I asked someone to just kick, and they did. Victory! Hashtag victory trending all over the story. What's funny is apparently after I declared that he was on ignore, he kept screaming and talking crap like a moron to himself for the remainder of the run. Ha! Carrying groups like a baller since 2006. Always a good test of character. Always a wonderful test of characters if you can get through that. When I get those tanks, I never try kicking them. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm endorsing them. But I always see it as a personal challenge to get through that. Because not a lot of things will test you like unpredictability. Unpredictability will test you more than anything, even in a game, even in real life. Unpredictableness is just something you can't prepare for. Alright? It's nothing you can prepare for. And it's a real test of how you cope with those situations. Look at this week. We wanted to buy a new camera because this quality isn't amazing. We wanted to get that fixed up for you guys. We wanted to work on the background stuff, and suddenly Ben got really ill. You know, things have to, that unpredictableness really puts you behind. How do you deal with it? How do you prioritize it? How do you work on it? Things like that really test you, and it's a good thing. So I don't kick them. I quite enjoy it. I tend to not rage. It's very difficult for me to get angry. I tend to get angry when other people I'm with get attacked by some moron. When people really start to give abuse to somebody I'm with, then I get very defensive. I get very protective. I get very defensive, and I don't enjoy that at all. But people mock me. I generally understand enough about the game to know why a situation occurred and understand that other people don't know why situations occurred, and it's really not worth me getting into. It would take a long-ass explanation. But it's one of those things where unpredictability is something you need to prepare for, because in raids, anything can happen. Anything can happen at any moment. Things go wrong. And that's when you really start to shine as a great player. Is you're okay with unpredictability. You're okay with dealing with it. Sure, it's fine to prepare a heal for when a big cooldown is coming, some big attack. But when things start to go wrong, that's when you want to rock and roll. A good incentive of this is keeping calm under pressure. I pointed out to APCO that the most amazing thing that I saw in their world first of Queen Z, or the Emperor's Guards in Mogshun Vaults, their world first on the heroic, was when things were getting really bad towards the end. Things were getting very bad. You could see they were borderline about to wipe getting this world first. Is APCO quite clearly, calmly says, I will stun the mobs next. And he's so relaxed. He's so fucking relaxed. And you can hear it in his voice that he's so relaxed. And it's a very important clutch move that he does there. And throughout the whole video, that was the bit that really caught my eye, was to hear his voice just go, I'll deal with the next mobs. It's not his place, it's not his turn. There's a lot of people good at sticking to a strategy. It's not my turn, so I didn't do it. But you can be aware the situation is really, really sucking balls. And things are going wrong, left and right. People are starting to panic. A lot of wipes are caused by people panicking and trying to do anything to stay alive. Hellstones, hellstones, hellstones. How many times do you hear that? How many fucking hellstones do you think I'm carrying right now, okay? It has a cooldown. And people are spamming it and spamming it. And then suddenly you just hear people going, I need to deal with this. This is coming across on the right. Please, DPS, 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 more DPS. All healers, DPS. All this is going on. And suddenly, crystal clear, I'll deal with these next mobs. And deals with it and just puts that thing out of contention and is completely calm. Amazing stuff. I love to see stuff like that. Another example is in the Darkstorm video of the 4 guys that activate one after another. I'm terrible at my Mr. Pandarian names. You know the ones. The guy who does Maddening Shout. I only know their abilities. The guy who does Pillage. That fucking guy. You know what I mean, right? You know, the Spirit Kings. Spirit Kings Heroic, the Darkstorm kill. The Darkstorm Heroic kill of the Spirit Kings. Blubzar linked that to me, as well as their other kills. And I was flicking through the channel and stumbled across it. And again, the most interesting part to me was Blubzar is a great friend of mine. Everything's going to shit. They've hit Enrage, I believe. The boss is enraged. Still has about 10 million health, which is a good few seconds of DPS. And there's people dying left and right. He's one-shotting everybody. And as a healer, which Blubzar was, he's very sort of... You can fall into the trap of just trying to heal people. Well, Blubzar has got enough situational awareness to realise that I can't out-heal an enraged boss. I can't do that. So how else can I help in this situation? So the first thing he does is pop bear form and move to the other side of the room and taunt the boss. And he's calm as day. He said, I will taunt the boss now. In his lovely Dutch accent, I will taunt this boss. And he moves off and he taunts it. Then someone panic taunts it, which is very, very annoying when you're doing something like that. I think it was, I can't recall who it was. Someone panic taunts the boss and dies instantly. And then there's people starting to also panic taunt the boss. But Blub, clear as a bell, as this boss is moving nearly to him, cat form, dashes to another side of the room, back into bear form, and says, I'm taunting it now, nobody else taunts it. In a clear, concise way. People are dropping left and right. This thing's got about 5 million health left. This is going for a big kill. I will taunt it again. Please nobody taunt it. Taunts it. Gets the kill. Another clutch move. Fucking awesome. To especially see friends of mine playing like that. And that's how you guys should play as well. Is really calm. When things are going wrong, stay calm. Deal with the unpredictability. How can you help? I can't heal people in this situation. What else can I do? Fucking awesome. So cool. Let's go to our last story. I'm trying to ignore the emails I'm being spammed about not broadcasting Black Ops 2 footage. Don't spam. Can't monetize it. Don't do it. Hey Preacher, this is my tale of a terrible 5-man I entered in Cataclysm with my Fire Mage friend and my Elemental Shaman. So we queue for a random hour of Twilight. Fail! You should never queue for a random hour of Twilight. They fucking suck. And we get a queue pop and we enter the dungeon to discover we have a bunch of egotistical maniacs who have the Saviour of Azeroth title. How do you know as soon as you enter that they're maniacs? It's like you've walked into the Hills of Eyes or something. There's corpses being dragged everywhere. They've all got their titles, their shiny Saviour of Azeroth badges. And start bragging instantly because we don't. But no fear, I whip out my Destroyer's End title and we continue in the dungeon. As we approach the Echo of Bane. Okay, let's take a moment to reflect on Echo of Bane. How many people in the chat know how to do inappropriate gear somewhere upwards of like 70k DPS on the Echo of Bane encounter? I want to see it quickly. How many people knew how to do that? And say how, obviously. Chuck Totems! I'm giving that one to Edwards. Edwards was the baller there. And how many times, as if you healed that encounter, how many times were you stood there and you do anything, the undead heal, you're giving it all this, and then suddenly the guy next to you is like, can I do this on camera to make it look cool? He's like, I'm a hunter, right? I'm a hunter, so I'm giving it all this, and then suddenly I go, ah! Okay, and then you as the healer is giving it all this shit, you're giving it all this, you're giving it all this, and then suddenly you go, ooh, totem, grab, huh! And your DPS just goes, kaboom. And then you do it again, because as when I healed that encounter, I purposefully used to stand next to everybody else to hope they would get hit by the totem. I also used to stand in... I was such an asshole with the totems. And I remember... I think I went in with some Stark guys. Now, I doubt they will remember this, but I remember stupid shit like this. And I was... I can't remember what character I was on, but I was very undergeared. Very, very undergeared. But these guys were quite excited at the time. It was when Stark had just died to regrouping with me. I don't know if I was tanking or DPSing. I think I was DPSing. And we're doing the Echo of Bane, and I did somewhere about 90k DPS, and people were spamming it in the guild chat like, this is retarded, how did Preach do that, blah, 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 blah. And literally, it was just me cheesing the shit out of totems. On my warrior, I was DPSing. You could get knocked back and heroic leap back instantly. So I would be always the guy who grabbed the totems, and I would be grabbing other people's totems all the time. It's fucking really cool. Those mechanics, nobody ever knew about that. They would just let that fucking flame buff stack up consistently. I think the flame buff debuff on that fight used to end up ticking for about 100k or something stupid. And people would just be like, I'll just try and out-heal it. I could dispel it, of course, but of course we've all been to the Temple of the Jade Serpent. Dispelling is pretty hard. I can't help but notice that the tank, which I thought was a prop paladin, turns out to be a ret paladin. So I stop and ask, why are you tanking in ret and ret gear? His reply is, because I am Imba. Imba's kind of outdated now, isn't it, as a word? Do you guys still say Imba? And I have full DS heroic gear. So we pull the boss anyway we wipe. Gotta say, at this point, I think tanking those dungeons as a ret paladin with Righteous Fury on in full Dragon Soul heroic gear is absolutely fine. I think that is no problem at all. I have no issue with anybody doing that. I would quite happily heal that. Not now, probably. They do more damage as prop, but back then, no problem at all. No issue whatsoever. The group then starts to flame me and my friend for not pulling enough DPS, considering we were pulling more than the Retry tank and his arms warrior partner in crime. Are you abusing totems? Are you? You abusing totems? So we do the boss again, and this time it's a kill. So we swiftly move on to the Echo of Jaina. That fucking instance, right? That instance, the Hour of Twilight instance, is full of so many pitfalls for newbies. How many times have you wiped on Echo of Jaina because some tank was heroically ignoring the trash? Clearing trash is far too much work. Even if it will cause me a wipe, I will risk it. I will risk it for the love of God and pray that the boss that blinks, Jaina blinks, the mobs patrol. The mobs patrol and Jaina blinks unpredictably. Clear the trash, for the love of God. I'm not talking about the whole room. You clear the trash on the left, the trash on the right. It takes you 30 seconds and you won't wipe. There is zero risk of wiping. There's so little risk. This boss blinks. It blinks randomly into patrolling trash. I never got it. Tanks were like, okay, guys, I'm going to pull the boss now. And they're all cool about it. They're like looking around like Teal'c from Stargate. I'm going to pull the boss now. Nobody pull the trash. Alright? And then Jaina blinks. And what does your tank do? He's like, get to the boss. And suddenly he pulls it off. And he's just thinking, dude, seriously, I fucking hate you. I hate your soul. I hate everything about you. I really, really do. You make me cry. You make me fucking cry. I hate that. It's so annoying. Clear the fucking trash. Jesus Christ. I would just go in there and pull it. Okay, onwards. I hate that instance. I absolutely hate it. I don't know if you say anything about the last boss, but I'm going to if you don't mention the last boss. Where they decide the mobs aren't worth killing and decide to pull the boss. The second Jaina teleports, she lands smack bang in the middle of a group of mobs, so me and my friends instantly hex and polymorph. I proceed to hit them with a thunderstorm. Thunderstorm! I have blessed you with my thunderstorm. How can we fail now? Thunderstorm! Every solution, every problem can be solved with a thunderstorm. Or an AoE fear. Or a frost nova next to the healer. All of these things are really good things to do. Oh, Brad would say that. Got a problem? Why not frost nova? Got a problem? Why not thunderstorm? Oh, I believe you pulled too many mobs. Why not Howl of Terror? Oh, Brad, how you mock us so. Brad is a gangster. Brad doesn't give a shit. He's fucking frost novering that crap next to the healer, next to the rogue, next to anything. It's just nowhere near the tank. Which luckily does not break the CC. Yeah, lucky. You were fucking lucky and all. But moves them from the AoE effects. So as you can see, this is going wrong. Really? I do believe it is going wrong. And again, Jaina teleports into another pack, and it's another wipe. Oh dear. We res quickly and get back and suggest clearing the trash, but no. Now you've got elitists who are determined, and the only reason you wiped is because of you. That's right. You are wiping them. If they were two-man, they could clear this place easily. It's your fault. It's your fault. That's how an elitist thinks. Is the only possible solution to their wiping is everybody else. Absolutely everybody else. I'm wearing Dragon Soul heroic gear. Yeah. I can't wipe in Hour of Twilight. I don't think so. The mighty Retrochank says the trash is not a problem. I'm not healing enough. Correct. Absolutely correct. So I reply saying I'm elemental. Hey Shaven, you're not healing enough. I'm elemental. Damn it. You caught me again, Mr. Withers. I'm not meant to heal you. Your friend is. So straight away the arms warrior jumps in and starts making childish jokes about me and my friend. So their healer friend agrees we need to clear the trash. As soon as he said that, they called him a traitor and said he would not pass his guild's trial with an attitude like that. So you just walked into... It's like walking into your friend's house for a party. You're like, hey, what's going on? And suddenly the couple is in a row. Nothing more awkward than if me and Emma are not being the best of friends, which happens as you're a couple, and somebody walks in and you're like, yeah, we're fine. Everything is perfect. Everything is amazing. And there's the atmosphere. There's an atmosphere, and you know what the atmosphere is, and nobody talks about it. It's happened a million times. It will happen to you more and more as you get older. Is you'll turn up to places, and suddenly there's a weird feeling, and clearly nobody's best mates right now. But you've turned up for a party, so you're jolly as anything. It's like, you know, I turn up and I'm like, hey, what's going on, guys? And nobody speaks, and I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going home. Fuck you guys. I'm not sitting here while you're all arguing. And then they do that fake thing, like as soon as the friend gets in the car, it's like, hey, we missed you so much. Please break the tedium of our argument. So after the back and forth arguing, we clear the trash and down the boss. Now this is the part where the Retri learns why he is a bad tank. We clear the Murazon trash fast and pull the boss, and straight away he is one shot, so me and my friend start laughing straight away. But we use the hourglass to revive him because we are decent chaps. Or you would have wiped. Don't make out like you were being a nice guy. Don't make that out. You would have wiped otherwise. You need this Retri Paladin. You need him. He's your fucking lifeblood. And he keeps dying until we run out of hourglass turns, which leaves Murazon on 7 million health. The arms warrior valiantly attempts to tank, but to no avail, and I take it to my fire elemental to do it. My fire elemental does at least 5 seconds longer than the warrior, but soon dies. But in a short time, we managed to get good enough distance for the friend to pop all cooldowns, and we deliver a bro fist from hell. Nice. To Murazon, he dies. We res the Parent Warrior to receive another torrent of abuse. This time we notice that the healer friend no longer has the guild tag below his name, and they also start to abuse him. We leave and find out 2 days later that their healer had moved to the server we was on and applied for the guild and was accepted. Was a really nice, decent guy. What a bizarre end to that story. But good story. That is a bad group. Elitist assholes, man. So you can see how I pick different stories from different things that you probably run into. Elitist pricks who blame you for everything, although they're doing terrible, terrible things. I just want to point out about Murazond. That boss is genius. Murazond is a genius boss because you can do absolutely immense DPS. People feel the need to save hourglasses. What are you saving them for? Answers to preachgaming@gmail.com. I really want to know why you think killing the boss with 2 left is good. I would love to know that. Thank you very much. I never understood it. I would be tanking, and I would be sort of 30% left on the boss, and all the way through I'm going, click it, click the thing. You know what happens when you click it? You get all your DPS cooldowns back. You kill it much, much quicker. I don't get it. And they're like, no. We don't need it right now. The damage isn't high enough. If you keep clicking it, the damage never gets high. You know, you've got 5 goes. You can use it like every 20%, right? Okay, even more. It doesn't matter. Just click the fucking thing, and the damage never goes high, and you always do high DPS. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty fucking incredible. You can do tremendous things if you just keep clicking it. The fight is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be a hard fight. It's supposed to be a very fun, very easy fight. It's brilliant. It's pretty cool. Yeah, people are going, that fight was brilliant. I loved it. I used to love it, especially on my Warlock, where you could spam Doom Guards. Holy shit, when I got full Dragon Soul Heroic gear, when I was really geared up, I didn't get the Legendary, obviously, but I had everything but the Legendary. I started to do crazy DPS on that fight. It was so much fun. But people are determined to save the hourglasses. What? For what? What are you saving them for? I don't understand. I really don't understand. Okay, that is me done for today. I hope you enjoyed the stories. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about gear. We're going to get a little bit serious. A little bit serious. We're going to talk about gear. I want to know your thoughts. If you want to preface anything you want to discuss on the gear subject, then email me. preachgaming@gmail.com. Anything you want to maybe bring up that you've worried I might not bring up. I will talk about as much as I can, and I want good discussion from you guys. Good back and forth. I want to see you guys raising an opinion. It's important. Make yourself heard. You are ballers. You are not the scum of the earth who roam around most of the internet and World of Warcraft. You are the ballers. And the ballers have an opinion. The ballers don't sit back and watch. So have a great day. And I will see you tomorrow, 5 PM GMT. Alright guys? Bye.